Hello, everybody. My name is Josh Price. I was your 2020 YPN chair, and this is your weekly market report. So for the week ending in July 8th, new listings, we have 225 new listings. That's a 24.5% decrease at 298 new listings. Pending sales for the week of July 8th, we have 236. A year ago, we had 227, so this is a 4% increase. Median sales price, we are now at $350,000, $320,500 a year ago. And then inventory, actual inventory, right now we have 1,236 homes on the market. A year ago, it was 1,386. This is a 10.8% decrease. And that is your weekly market stats. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for tuning in for our July 2023 podcast, where we'll be covering artificial intelligence and compliance. Our two guest hosts are myself, Nick Purdy, and Pete Stagel with Servant 360. And then our two guests are going to be our MLS Executive Director, Richard Gibbons, and Chief AI Real Estate Nerd himself, Tego Venturi.
I'll take that. I like that. We were just saying it's like this is the real estate nerd show. Yeah,
this is.
Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah.
All righty. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. Richard and Tego, at least I have, I'm sure Pete has as well, being in our marketing positions that we are and helping out realtors on the day-to-day basis. We get a lot of questions about AI, and what is that one definition that people can take home and be like, okay, this is what AI is. How is it Siri? What necessarily is it?
You want to take that one, Tego?
Well, I think the answer is there is no one definition.
Yeah.
Correct. In AI, the term AI, artificial intelligence, is getting blended up with so many different things, and so you think about, AI really exploded right when ChatGPT was launched, right? Richard, you and I were playing around with OpenAI a year ago, right? Mm-hmm. So it's been around, but ChatGPT was the thing that really launched it. But ChatGPT is it has to do with language.
Right. Language learning model,
right? And there's natural language learning models, and there's large language learning models, and we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, But then there's the other part of it, which Pete, of course, is familiar with, is the image part, right? Mm-hmm. And Richard, you are too. So there's image recognition as well as image generation, right? And so I think it all kind of gets mushed together as AI, but there's all these different components. And then what I see happening now is people are taking the ChatGPT and generating text and creating videos about it or photos about it, and it's all kind of mushed together. How's that?
Yeah. And that's where it gets interesting too. Is you're going to ChatGPT to generate a script that you then take to a video model, and right. then you take parts of the video model and generate marketing out of it with an image model, and It's like the way all these models are overlapping with each other is getting ridiculous.
You could lump Siri, I guess, into it, but Siri is a little bit different because that's a trained language model versus ChatGPT, right? Where it's more of a
Well, I would say it's the early stages of what AI is, what we're seeing now.
Right.
It was Siri. It was a lot of the analytics were using AI models, predictive analytics and stuff like that.
Well, the most famous one in our world is the Zestimate, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. All of that is AI. It's just we've come to a different a turning point where it's now. For the masses. It's not just for big corporations and data. You can do anything with it.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that thought that yes, now it's commoditized in the sense that it's available to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And OpenAI did that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rapidly.
Yes. Yeah.
So, as we are all the real estate nerds, apparently, I don't know if I'm going to adhere to that title, but
it's official. It's
official, I guess. So speaking that we're the nerds, are we experts with this? What is an expert when it comes to AI?
I'm going to take this one because this is a pet peeve of mine. In my opinion, nobody is an expert on AI right now. A lot of people are familiar with the 10,000 hour rule, right? Now, you can get into it's not about the number, it's about the quality, but whatever. AI, ChatGPT in its current iteration has been out for about 5,300 hours. And that's if you're counting 24 hours a day. So nobody has had time to become an expert on this. There's some people that have spent more time on it. Me and Tego play with this stuff every day. And I don't know if play is even the right word. It's like utilize is probably the better word. Utilize every day.
Trial and error. A lot of trial and error.
Lots of trial and error. But I don't know if I'd call anybody an expert right now.
There's one guy out there, and I follow him on Twitter, is Brian Romanelli.
Yeah.
And that guy knows his stuff, and he's done a couple podcasts that you can catch on YouTube. That guy is, yeah. I mean, so clearly there's some AI researchers, big brain people that know what obviously somebody built it, right? But I think what I think your point is, and I'll just emphasize this, there's a lot of gurus out there selling real estate agents and mortgage lenders and real estate professionals, hey, we're going to teach you how to do all this stuff and you're going to generate all this business off of it. I would just, I would take a pause.
Take a little pause. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember how many it was, but overnight on LinkedIn, it was something like 50,000 people had updated their title to prompt engineer. Mm-hmm. What is prompt engineer? I can Google stuff really well.
Okay, right? wait. All right. We got to define what the heck is a prompt, Richard. So you jumped ahead of us here.
I did a little bit, but yeah.
So,
what is a prompt?
What is a prompt? Yeah, I'll take prompt. So prompt. So in the ChatGPT world, right? We're talking about the language model here, and a prompt is, you could call it a question, but it's not necessarily a question because you're also so I've got an example here of an anatomy of a good GPT prompt, and that is, what's the role? So you are an expert real estate agent with lots and lots of experience. You give it a task. You're going to write a property remarks, property description, right? You give it restraints, right? So you have to give it restraints. Say, well, don't use the bad list of words, right? What's the name of that? The danger words?
Well, the fair housing list. But the way I phrase that part is don't mention people or characteristics of people.
Right. There you
Something
go.
Like that.
So you got your role, you got your task, you got your constraints, you got your criteria. So for a property remarks, and it needs to be no more than 800 characters, for example, in our MLS, and then you give it the data, and you say it's open and airy house, remodeled kitchen, whatever it is,
granite
right?
Countertops,
granite countertops,
bath.
Right.
All of
And so that's a prompt. It's not really a question. You're actually giving it a direction versus asking a question. Of course, you can ask a question too. I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I on the right path?
No. I think that's spot on. I mean, I was going to say, just listen to the last 3 minutes of this podcast enough times, and you can go update your LinkedIn to prompt engineer.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, because that's what it is, right?
There's no certification course. There's no college degree. There's nothing that says that you are an expert in this field just yet. When it comes to that,
it's going to come down to, you're an expert when you can show success. And there are some people out there doing good stuff, and there's a lot of prompting courses out there. But anyway, that's the basics of it.
Yeah.
It hasn't been out long enough to have an expert status, quite frankly.
But I mean, but to Tego's point, there are people doing good stuff. It's just there's also a whole lot of people who are selling you something, and then all they're doing is turning around and spending 5 seconds in it in ChatGPT and selling it back to you. So there's a lot of that out there too. So just careful.
I'm gonna give one example here. So this is a prompt for a property remark, since we're talking about prompts, and it's like, okay. I kind of went through this already, but act like a real estate agent. You're going to write a report and give to a home seller about an open house you hosted. Do not make the summary longer than 300 words. Summarize the feedback below. So you're going to paste below any feedback you received into a report so you can give the home seller about their home, right? So that's an example of where a real estate agent could use it in their business. To write an email or a report to a home seller, right? So that's a prompt.
Saves them a bunch of time.
Of course.
And that's really how we're all kind of looking at this, as in terms of what all AI can do. Really, we're going to be showing a lot of stuff that people can utilize to save them a lot of time. By using it on a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, you're able to save a lot of time out of your day. So. Speaking to that, so how is AI going to change how we operate on a day-to-day basis. We've already seen it implemented with certain technologies, but do you guys have any insight on that?
You want to take that one?
Yeah. So the way I've been breaking this down is if you look at economics and you're trying to sell a product that's a commodity, it's a product like sugar, for example. Everybody's making the same exact product. You win on low prices and marketing, right? Well, what I'm saying about AI is that AI is commoditizing process. So if you take things in your day, you look at what you do on your day-to-day basis, and you look at things that are just process, just pushing paperwork, just moving spreadsheets around, doing that kind of stuff, and then you also have this critical thinking bucket. AI is commoditizing anything on the process side. So if your value proposition has to deal with process and moving things around really quickly, AI is going to do it faster. Or people using AI are going to do it faster, is what I should say. So if you want to be in that race to the bottom, have fun. But if people need to be using this because everybody else is going to as well. You're not. What's the saying? You're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by somebody using AI.
Well, and let me just mention your LinkedIn post that you did a week or so ago, where you, Richard, if you go to LinkedIn, Richard just did some thoughts about AI, and again, it's that whole thing, we've heard it now a bunch, which is AI isn't going to replace you, but people using AI are going to replace you if you don't get on board. And we'll see how that shakes out. We don't know, but we do know that it's going to make life a lot more efficient. I think about going from, this is an example in the real estate world. In 2008, we started using this newfangled technology called DocuSign, right? Before that, and a lot of younger folks, YPN folks, they probably don't remember that, when we had to get a counteroffer signed, we'd have to drive across town to get the seller to sign it or the buyer to sign it or whatever it was. And then DocuSign came along, and we started using it right away because, that's what I do, right? It's like, oh, this is a new technology, it'd make us more efficient. And we got pushback from other agents like, well, you can't do that. That's not a legal signature, right? Title companies were doing that. And but again, it was new technology, right? And now it's evolved to that's just the norm. And of course, there's been a lot of iterations and changes throughout time with the signature programs. But now it's common, and I think this is going to be the same thing, right? It's like everybody uses it because it would be wholly inefficient to do everything on paper anymore.
Yeah, 100%. And also I want to one of the things that was in that paper, because you just jogged my memory on it, is backing off the fear mongering a little bit. Like, there's a lot of people that are saying like AI is going to replace all jobs. Well, if you go back to the cotton gin, that was supposed to replace all jobs too, right?
That was the Luddites, right?
Yeah, the Luddites.
Luddites.
The Luddites were the anti-cotton gin. Because what happens over time is, as jobs become more efficient, people lose jobs in those positions, but they get put somewhere else. But now cotton becomes cheaper to buy, and it gives everybody more buying power, which creates more jobs. So this isn't a jobs Armageddon that we're talking about here, right? You might get moved somewhere else, but it's not a jobs Armageddon. So just to back that off a little bit.
And you look at farmers now, rather than having a whole bunch of people out in the field, now you have a tractor running around, using a computer, and the guy's sitting in an office running a couple of tractors.
Right.
It hasn't replaced the farmer. He's still there. It's just.
Okay,
Exactly.
Pete, I got to say, so I saw a video that somebody posted, and it was a tractor that used AI, and it had lasers on it, and it was driving over the field. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Okay,
but
it was driving through the field, and the AI was identifying what was a weed and what was a crop, and it was zapping the weeds with lasers.
Wow.
And that's a good example of AI that's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Because we've been using this and tweaking things for years.
Right.
To make processes more efficient. I like to look at the AI that's here now is it's an assistant. It's not something that creates anything by itself or does anything by itself. It helps the human to do their work better. It goes back to the prompt writing. You're creating a direction for the assistant to create something for you, not just pull stuff out of thin air.
Can I ask Pete a question?
I don't know, can you?
So how do you see AI right now being used in real estate photography, and where do you see it going?
So there's a lot of stuff. So Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop is a program that a lot of photographers use, and they've actually just released a beta generative fill. So you can go into an image and you can define what you want the AI to put into the image, or to remove from the image. And there's a ton of stuff. People are doing some really funky things, like putting aliens in there. And
I've seen some where they take a
spaceships
classic album cover, like think about Abbey Road, right, where they're walking across the street, and then people are like filling around it, what's around it, and like doing stuff like that. It's like, well, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and so there's some really cool stuff like that isn't necessarily commercialized yet.
Yeah.
But even just from the standards, doing virtual staging.
Right.
There's a couple of companies out there that allow you to. They have the system, so you can just go in and upload the image and say, I want a living room set here, and I want a picture on the wall over here, and a TV here. Put some fire in the fireplace, and it'll do it. Not always perfect. And
Sure.
you have to adapt and adjust, just like you would on ChatGPT or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that's coming on the image side and even on the video side.
Yeah, I in that world, I don't think we've seen anything yet. Actually,
No.
I think we're just barely scratching the surface.
Yeah, the analogy I always use there is that the first sanctioned automobile race was in 1896, and those race cars went 11 miles per hour. AI right now is doing 11 miles per hour.
Yeah.
2023, and race cars are doing 230, 240 probably. So yeah, long way to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So along that lines, Richard, so you and I were at the NAR conference here in DC a few months ago, and AI, without a doubt, was the kind of topic du jour, of the conference. Every year you go to one of these Inman or some of these conferences. A few years ago at Inman, for example, it was more than a few years, probably 10 years now, it was all about iBuyers, right? And then it was power buyers, and then it was new brokerage models, and then it was this. But this year it was all about AI and real estate, right? And what were some of the things that you saw out there?
Well, a lot of talk about the shiny, right? And it kind of got to a joking point where Richard was just sick of seeing the shiny. But one of the favorite conversations I had was when we sat down with the Remind CEO, and he made that comment about the best uses will be invisible. And I think Pete's example of it's your example of the tractor zapping the weeds, right?
Yeah.
That's an invisible example of AI working and making things more efficient. And then Jeff Turner was the other one. I guess the guy's name, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He had made the point that this was the next inflection point. Similar to the internet or to graphical user interfaces. Like the change from DOS to Windows. So just kind of looking at that big picture view of where this is going, versus kind of the shiny stuff's fun, but the practical stuff is where our world's really going to change.
And speaking to the practical stuff, lasers on a tractor sound really cool, but that's not going to help us out in real estate.
Right.
What are some of those AI real estate tools that realtors and lenders might be able to implement into their
business? Can I give an example that you can speak to? 'Cause
Absolutely.
we were an early adopter, and that's Recipe AI.
Oh yes, that's a great example. Yeah. So Recipe
of something boring behind the scenes that you never even see.
Exactly. So Recipe.ai is what we use to support our minimum photos rule. So just going back to the beginning of this, appraisers came to us and they said, hey, too many people are removing their photos off of listings. It makes it not a useful comp. We want to make every single listing in the MLS a useful comp. And so we started thinking about it, and, checking every single photo on every single listing by a human, completely impossible. Doing it for AI, though, no problem. So we have Recipe.ai, and what it does is it looks at a photo and it says, this is a living room, this is a kitchen, this is a bathroom, this is the front of the house, this is the back of the house. And we can read those tags using Data Checker to make sure every listing has that. So that's a background process that has drastically improved our data, because even if somebody doesn't have any remarks whatsoever, if you know it's a 3.2, you have the square footage, you have the year built, and you have some photos, you can make a pretty decent comp.
Do you know what's coming next on that?
All ears.
That comp being done automatically by reading photos, figuring out the condition and the finishes inside the house. So you think about these AVM models. If you don't know what an AVM is, it's automated valuation modeling, which is basically his estimate. RPR has it. Remind has them. They're all over the place. But those are going to get better because now Recipe AI is going to be looking at images and being able to determine a value by taking these huge data sets, comparing them all together, and coming up with a CMA.
Yeah.
Those tools are coming.
You can actually go to recipe.ai's website, and they have demos of exactly what you just said, of like condition of a home,
Yeah.
where they have a, this is a good condition home, this is a poor condition home. And they have it broke down of this is, press board countertops or whatever it's actually called. And this is granite countertops.
Formica.
Formica, thank you.
Yeah.
It can tell. It can look and tell. So it's it completely.
Can it tell the difference between brown granite and white quartz? Because brown granite is out of style, but white quartz is in style.
I probably, at a certain point, there are those products that they're still a hard one, but they're not granite. That's another one I can't remember the name of. But unless you go up and knock on it, you can't. That's it. Yeah, you can't really tell, right? So
one thing you've said a lot of times, Richard, is this is the worst it's ever going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
This product, the product right now, the different products. So speaking of products, let's talk about some of the products that are out there that people are using in real estate. You want to do that?
Great question. Yeah. Well, I don't know all the products that people are utilizing, but of course everyone knows ChatGPT, which is out there, and there's several different other versions of ChatGPT where you can, plug in a prompt and ask it questions and have it answer to you. And I personally was going to pull up a certain website called futuretools.io. We have 2 other websites that we're going to share with everyone, but this is just the first of all of them. So on this website, you can easily just jump on here and then, go to chat. Here's all these chat bots in here. There's ChatGPT in here, all different other kinds. But in terms of other marketing tools and uses, you can easily apply filters in this platform and then go directly there.
Copywriting would be another big one in our space, I would say, because, wow, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But so copywriting, writing content, right, for social media posts, for blog posts, for email subjects,
Video scripts.
Yeah, so writing is a big one, and one that I use a lot is reading and summarizing. So, we've been doing a radio show for about 9 years, half hour every week talking about real estate in Albuquerque. And what I do is I transcribe it, right, using an AI system, basically transcribe the whole show. I mean, I guess it's not really AI, but it's a type of AI. Transcribe it, and then I just say, I put it in either ChatGPT or one of the other models and say, give me a bullet point summary of what's talked about in this, and then I get a summary of what was said. There's a couple really good tools that I have on Chrome for summarizing any and every YouTube video. So you can go in there. One of them is called Merlin, and it just lives in your Chrome browser. It's a plugin, and Merlin does a whole bunch of stuff. So does Barely, does a whole bunch of stuff too. But basically, it allows you. It just kind of lives in your browser. And on every YouTube video, you just click, please summarize this, and it gives you a summary bullet point. So you can, basically get the gist of a 3-hour Joe Rogan podcast, written out for you and just hit all the bullet points. So, I mean, that's the type of I love the summary stuff. I've been using that a lot.
How much does that cost?
Merlin is there's a free version and then there's a paid version, but I only use the free version on that one.
And you're able to do all that with just the free version?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have a limited, you can't do a whole bunch, but you have a limit per day, basically.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Real quick, another one of the websites to check out some of these other AI platforms that people can get access to is called Open Tools. This was a website that Tego contributed. Tego, do you have anything you want to include?
No, it's just
about
another.
this?
It's like Future Tools. There's a handful of these AI directory websites, but the thing that's interesting about Open Tools is, of course, they use a chat bot as the search engine, which of course they do, right?
Of course they do.
But they actually do have a real estate category on that one. Why don't you plug it in there, Nick, and see what it says? And so it'll give you a list of the different tools that see it didn't work.
I have to log in.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so Open Tools is one. Those are just directories.
And the last one will be this Futurepedia.
Yep.
bunch in here as well.
Yep.
These websites remind me of that saying of when there's a gold rush going on, sell shovels.
Yes, exactly. Exactly what's going on. No, you're 100%. Yeah.
Well, that also is why there's so many chat engineers or prompt
Yeah.
engineers or courses on how to use AI or these tools. A lot of these tools are actually just based off of ChatGPT. They're not building their own models. They're not doing their own thing. They're just tapping into the AI, API of
Absolutely.
ChatGPT.
So
and
there's
putting a layer over it.
Yeah, they're training it based, specific training it for whatever the use case is. Although this one is a good example of image work, and if you're just listening, sorry, but Reimagine Home. This is one we learned about at NAR, the NAR conference. Reimagine Home. This is one of the virtual staging, if you will, products where you can drop an image in there, and using image recognition, it'll pull out different components of the room, and you can redesign color, you can redesign furniture, you can say I want modern style furniture, I want mid-century modern, I want French provincial, whatever it is, and it'll give you a design of the room. So that one's Reimagine Home. That's a real popular one, really good one. There's another one called Home Design AI. Another one called Virtual House Flip. I know you don't have it up here. Virtual House Flip is the same, but it does it for the exterior. So take a photo of the exterior of the home, put it in there, and then you can try different designs, see what it would look like. Again, give it different examples. I want a colonial style Pueblo house. I guess they call it well, actually that is a thing in Santa Fe. Okay, and then this one is a good one. Get Floor Plan, another one for the real estate space where you can drop a floor plan, Pete, in here, and then it will virtually stage the floor plan with furniture.
A 3D kind of
give you a 3D look. It'll and basically make it give you an idea of what the property would look like.
So you can do virtual tours with this.
I think so. I haven't dug into it that much. No, is that what it says?
It says it right there.
It says it right there. Okay.
So
reading.
Just I'm not sure if that one does it, but there's a couple of tools out there that will take a actually the one that's in the MLS
Recipe?
No, the floor plan app. What do you guys?
Oh, flow plan.
Flow plan.
Flow plan.
That one, I'm not sure if through the flow plan part does it or not, but you can actually create a 360 walkthrough.
Okay.
They're using AI and the data that they collect for the floor plan to render a 360 walkthrough video.
That's
So,
cool.
quick clarification. That's Cubicasa is what you're thinking
Yeah.
of. And Flowplan is an iteration of Cubicasa, but it does not have what you just said.
Yeah.
But Cubicasa is out there and does have that.
Yeah, but it's the same technology.
Yeah, same technology.
Again, this is the worst these products are ever going to be.
Right.
And
It's
they're pretty good.
going to change our business.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It is going to change our business. Okay.
What about this HomeBite tool?
HomeBite. Oh boy, there's a handful of tools out there now. HomeBite is one. Plunk is one. HomeGenius is one, where it's basically real estate intelligence. So you can say basically it's trained on real estate specific information. Average price of homes for sale in Albuquerque, right? What's basically it's analytics. But more than just what's my home worth, it's neighborhood information. It's is it a safe neighborhood? I know those are scary things in our business, right? Those are the kind of questions that real estate agents really don't want to be answering, right? Be the source of the source.
So I was just able to plug in how many days the homes stay on market in Albuquerque on this specific platform, HomeBite, and it instantly just popped up with the average days on market. Tells me the median. And it tells me, how much it's gone down. I have
I'm a
chart.
stickler for market data.
Hey.
I don't know if you know that, Nick, but
You know market data?
a little bit.
But yeah, it just instantly made a graph for me right there. I can,
And
the
that's
graph
accurate.
Is, yeah.
I was gonna say, how accurate is it?
It's exactly accurate.
Wow. So this would link with MLS. It has all the images right here. I can look at all these properties, and this is where it's pulling all this information from.
So click on one of those properties. Okay, you guys ready to have your mind blown? Richard, do you want to go down this road?
Go for it. You've already opened it now.
So this company, HomeBite, it's got, it's a brokerage basically, and they've got an IDX feed, so they've got every listing in here. Well, remember how we were talking about virtual staging or restaging a property or reimagining how a home can look?
Oh my!
They've got a Reimagine Home tool, which allows you to take any photo from the MLS, from the IDX feed. It won't work on the exterior. It only does it on the interiors. But it will let you basically virtual stage a home while you're on your computer shopping for homes. So yeah, that's where we're
That is
at.
interesting.
So while that's generating, and we're playing with this, can I be the wet blanket for a second here?
Absolutely, please do, because the reason I bring it up is just so people know this is the type of stuff that's getting experimented with right now.
Article 12 of the Code of Ethics. Realtors shall be honest and truthful in their real estate communications and shall present a true picture in their advertising, marketing, and other representations.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of shiny, out there. There's a lot of cool things you can do. However, you are still the professional. As a realtor, even as a photography guy or as a title guy, you are the professional. So I cannot stress hard enough that verify any information you're getting out of any AI system. Do not just copy and paste it and stick it in there.
Yeah, this is a good place to remind everybody, whatever you put in the MLS, you're responsible for it.
Right.
Right. And if you're, have some sort of backup from where that data came from.
Yeah, Tego said it earlier, source of the source.
Yes.
And that source is not ChatGPT. that source is other things, right?
And that's something to cover too. Even ChatGPT has the disclaimer that you can have false information coming out of it.
Hallucinations.
Yeah,
Hallucinations.
Absolutely.
It just you want X generated, so it's going to generate X, but it's not accurate data. It's not coming from any real basis or source. It's just
Pulling out of
generating
thin
it.
air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a good, another story. I was listening to a podcast. It was Jordan Peterson and this Brian Romanelli, AI guy, and they were talking about Jordan Peterson, right? Obviously, intellectual guy, and he was talking about how he was doing some research, and was asking for citations of this different research, and he was going, and ChatGPT actually hallucinated a citation that didn't exist, because. And the reason was, and the hypothesis was, it hallucinated it because it should exist. It didn't exist, but it should exist, and that's what these two big brain guys were saying. It's like there actually should have been a study like this, but it really didn't exist. But ChatGPT hallucinated it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
And made it up.
Well, and also, I think
Okay, now we're getting real geeky.
Well,
here,
we've all
but,
seen the news article recently of that lawyer who had ChatGPT write up his case for him, right? And turns out his entire case was, and all the references that it made references to cases that didn't exist.
Right.
And so guess how much trouble he gets in, and how much,
because it all falls back on him. Just like all of this falls back on what you enter into the MLS.
To proofread something, it doesn't take but, just a few minutes to ensure accuracy, and then just make sure you delete the, as an open language model, delete all that. But, as long as you're proofreading it, you should be pretty good.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was talking about process, right? It's you let it write your remarks for you. That's fine, but go back and reread it. Make sure it's not doing any of the things that it's not supposed to do. Make sure it's factually accurate. As a matter of fact, go ahead and pull up my example if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
So, not that one. Okay, scroll down. Keep going. It also writes code for you, just a quick one there. But so I put write a property description for my address, and I just said it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, jetted tub, and just kind of gave some data. And if you read through the example right there, it has a couple different places where it says things about people. And the rule from HUD with fair housing is describe the property, not the people, right? So all I did was I just wrote the same exact prompt, but I said avoid mentioning any people or characteristics of people. And then you read the next one, and there you go. And it doesn't mention people or characteristics of people. So that's a practical example of somewhere where you can use this as your muse, and you can even ask it to correct itself. and then tweak it from there, because writing these things has to be a pain.
I know one thing. I know I haven't written property remarks in a while, thank goodness. But the hardest part was always getting started in writing property remarks, right? And you'd put together your list of features, right? And then you, of course, marketing 101 is we don't sell features, we sell benefits. Anyway, so you put together the benefits, right? That the new owner is going to have in this property. But getting that together and trying to get a start, but now you can get a start and then wordsmith it from there.
Absolutely.
And that's how we're using it now.
And I've told a lot of people, the way to utilize this is not as a crutch. Don't rely 100% on this and just say, this is what I'm gonna, here's my property X, Y, and Z, and then I'm just relying on this 100%. Use it as a support where you already know all this stuff. Like, you already have all these details about this property, but you need a place to start, and then you're using it as a support for your business and not a crutch. Once you start using it as a crutch and you do have typos or you're non-compliant, that's when it can really come back and bite you in the butt.
And along those same lines, actually, Nick, if you'll scroll back up to the top of the same prompt, with our Rental Beast launch next week, we're coming out with a website, nmhomerentals.com. And we were just kind of getting some ideas, spitballing some taglines. So I just said, provide multiple taglines for our rental website that puts all rentals in one spot. I don't think we ended up using any one of those, but it's a good launching point. It's a good place to get started.
Started your creative juices.
Brainstorming.
Gets the juice going.
Brainstorming, I've used it a lot. It is great.
I always use it daily
video
on that.
ideas, blog topics, just different pieces.
It's a great starting point for a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As long as you're
Talk
watching
about
it.
that.
Yeah. So marketing with AI, that's a huge question that, I in the title company see often. I know Pete sees it in his marketing company as well. What is AI and how can I utilize it in my marketing? And so do you want to start off talking about that, Pete?
Sure. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that you can do with it. I mean, we've already talked about property descriptions and that type of stuff, but you can use it to generate ideas, like you just did with that. But you could generate, give me 20 ideas, video ideas for speaking to a specific demographic. Let me rephrase that. Not demographic, but specific audience.
Audience, there you go.
Audience. Because you want
In real estate, everybody's our audience.
That may be.
No, seriously. No, I mean,
you have a
it
target
is.
audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah. And
what did she say? She said, what was it? Every person, every neighborhood. That was Lee Brown the other day on the Code of Ethics things. I thought that was a good way to think of it. It's like we sell homes to every neighborhood, in every neighborhood, to every single person. Right? I thought that was a good way to think about it.
Spot on.
Yeah.
so one thing, with what Pete was just talking about, though, that a lot of people haven't noticed yet is RPR actually has that tool built into it to do exactly what Pete was just saying.
Richard, what is RPR?
Yeah.
RPR is Realtors Property Resource. It is a product that is available to every Southwest MLS subscriber by NAR. It's built into the MLS. There's links to it on each listing, and then you can also get into under menu and then products. But they have a script writer now, and you go in there and you say, I want this tone of voice. I want to talk about this zip code, and I want to talk to this particular audience, and their audience is either buyer, seller, or both. And then it'll generate a script using MLS statistics and data for you to just pull up your phone and read it on Facebook. After you verify it.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, so that's built into RPR.
So there's your market stats
Right there.
So now you have a way to do videos or blog posts or social media just based off of the stuff you're already getting. That's awesome.
After you verify it.
Absolutely. 100%.
And it won't be as good as Tico's, but
Thank you.
But
Don't want to undermine.
You know why? Because context is key.
absolutely.
If you just say median price for Albuquerque in June was $363,000, it's like, okay, well,
Right.
But that
Context-
right there
Yeah.
is what we're talking about, though.
Right.
Everything with the AI is context.
right.
Because it can generate all sorts of stuff for you. But unless you're verifying it, you're looking at it and making sure that it's in the right tone of voice, to the right audience, to the right accuracy level,
Right.
it's not going to mean anything.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's going to sound good, though.
Maybe. I've gotten some interesting stuff coming out of ChatGPT that did not sound good.
So real quick, I want to jump back and
Yeah.
steal the floor. We already kind of looked at future tools, but in terms of marketing, there are so many different things on here that people can look at. And this is, from my standpoint as a title company and title marketing, I'm warning everyone out there about this stuff. This is what people are doing, but if you're not, again, utilizing them in the correct way, it can absolutely come around and bite you in the butt. I don't endorse or condone any of this. So just getting that out there for everyone. Can't point fingers.
You're
now.
not a lawyer. You're not an accountant.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm just some title guy. Nick
Just
Purdy,
a
the title guy.
caveman
I thought you were just
salesman.
the YPN co-chair.
Oh,
Yeah, that too.
at least I'm not assistant to the co-chair. That's ended. So I can easily click on marketing and then click on free in this platform, and it can show me a bunch of marketing tools that are free. Here's a tool for instant feedback and analysis on business ideas. I can go in here, go to, instead of marketing, I can go to
Social media.
Let's see, where's social media?
You were right there.
There we go. I got fat fingers. I can go to social media, and here's a bunch of artificial intelligence platforms that can enhance my social media. A very cool one, or a cool feature, about this website is I can sort by most upvoted. Anyone who goes onto here can upvote any of the platforms. Obviously, this Opus Clips one is highly upvoted by many, many people. Mm-hmm. Quick description about that. Do you know what Opus Clips is?
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we've been doing a radio show podcast for many, many years, and so we've got lots of content recorded. I do recorded market updates. I do a bunch of video. I do a bunch of content. Anyway,
And if you haven't seen them, where can you go to see those?
You can see those on my YouTube channel. And just search Venturi Group on YouTube. You'll find us. Or just search Albuquerque Real Estate. You'll find us actually on YouTube. But Opus Clip allows you to take long-form content, say podcast like this show, which we should do.
It's already
Okay, plug it in. Gabe, are you on it? You're gonna plug it in.
Gabe gave us a thumbs up.
Plug it in to Opus Clip, just the video, and it takes and digests it and spits out a series of shorts.
15, I believe, is the most they'll spit out at any given time for any.
Yeah. And so
Right
you
video.
can take, so I do that with our Saturday show, put it in there, and it spits out a bunch of shorts that you can basically repurpose any content that you're putting out.
And they
and
have
that-
captions, emojis added in there. It's also cropped and edited, so it's not going to be, like 10 or 15, 20 seconds of this one clip. It's going to be 5 seconds here, 5 seconds here. It'll splice them all together to make its own unique clip about that video.
Yeah.
So you
And
can
it ranks
use
them. It ranks them.
That gives you a virality score. It gives
Yep.
you a description for what you want to post it as, like 10 things you didn't know about real estate, or
And it
this
does it in what,
exciting
like
new-
5 minutes?
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Depends
Yeah.
on how long it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
Exactly.
For now, right?
So that's actually a service that we've done for a while now, and it could take a couple days for our editors to do that. What it does in 5 minutes, and it does it really well.
And speaking of Pete, there's a couple people out there making products that will basically create a short listing presentation. When I say short, we're talking about 60 seconds or less. For YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Right? Those are the four. Right?
Yep.
I forget any.
There's always new ones
sure
popping
there
up.
Oh, there's
but-
always a new one. I know. No. Well, what's the new one? The new
Threads.
Threads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I logged in. That's as far as I got. For property listings, basically, just plug in a URL and it'll create a short property listing description. Anyway, so many tools. Like Jasper's the one that's been around the longest, the one I think about when I
Yeah.
think about marketing tools, and it's a copyright program. But there's a handful of them out there that are property specific, that are use specific. But Jasper is a writing tool.
So
few more.
just a few more tools, guys. This one is called Active Listings. This is something that Tego has requested us to bring up and show. So Tego, for people out there who don't know it, i.e. me, What is this?
Again, I'm showing this just as an example of the things that are happening. So this was a investment analysis tool based on AI, or using AI. And it's interesting. So it's looking at property listings and it's saying, okay, this one, based on what we think the AVM is, meaning the price of the property, what the AVM is for rent, and it's putting together using whatever formula it does to say, hey, this one might be a good investment for a rental property, right? So there's a lot of those type of tools being built in the real estate space.
That's very cool.
They've been doing that for vacation rentals and stuff too.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is there's one here called Right Homes, right.homes. And there's a couple of these tools like out there right now that are real estate specific, AI. I don't want to say AI, but they're obviously using AI more as the buzzword, right? Because it's the big thing. Everybody's
Right.
got to have AI.
The shiny.
But it's marketing tools for real estate specifically. And so Right Homes is one. The Paperless Agent, which has been around forever, he's doing a lot of AI stuff now. Again, a bunch of different tools for a real estate agent. I guess this could be for market or for lenders as well. Anybody professional in the real estate space. There's another one right now. I can't think of the name of it. I think we bookmarked it, Nick. But the point is, there's a lot of these tools out there. And my Home Genius, yep, that's another one. Is you try them out, you see, like I said earlier, there's a lot of trial and error to see what's working, what's not working, see if it actually has value for you, because you can spend a lot of time, and I think we need to talk about that.
Yeah, you're talking about trying it. Pull up my other example I had, because I just want to give people just a really practical, simple example of the kind of stuff you can start with to kind of get your feet wet with AI, right? So you've probably all at some point in your life had a list like this where you had name-email, and if you copy and paste that into any email program, it freaks out because it tries to turn the names into emails, and it just doesn't get it. So I took this list and I just said, please take this and separate out the emails from the names in a format that can be copied and pasted into Outlook easily. And it did that. So this is the kind of stuff, there's a lot of this pie in the sky stuff, and it's all great and it does a lot of cool stuff, but there's a lot of people that are like, this is going way over my head. I am so confused. I'm so lost. Help me get started. And this is the kind of thing that I recommend people doing is just anytime you're doing anything, and I mean anything that feels manually labor intensive, try plugging it into ChatGPT and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
explore the feature set, explore what it can do.
Right. It's the only way you learn.
That's kind of how I started using this stuff, and I tell you, 95 times out of 100, it does it for me. It's not very often it doesn't work. So that's where I recommend people getting started at, right? And then just grow from there, and then start using a lot of these other tools. And
yeah, I mean, a lot of these other tools that we're showing and talking about, it does take a pretty good understanding of what artificial intelligence is and how these language models work and how these video models work. This is the best way, and this is how I personally discovered, a lot of the stuff that I can do with artificial intelligence. Granted, on my social media, a lot of my reels, and I mean like 4 out of 5 are talking about AI that I get to watch, but I practice on here, and then, hey, can it do this? Oh, let me upload a spreadsheet. Maybe it can analyze my spreadsheet. Lo and behold, it can, and it can find trends. And, I mean, and again, this is the worst it's going to be, right?
Right. Getting better every hour, quite frankly.
Kind of rolling into that, where do you guys all see AI in a year? What is the future of AI? Is it even called AI anymore, or is that just too much of a blanket term? Or
well, there's GAI, but that's a whole different conversation, so we're not going to go there. After the NAR conference, I wrote something down, and it was, what does a real estate agent do post-AI revolution? What's the role? Here's a better way to put it. What's the value proposition of a real estate agent post-AI revolution? So, Richard, we can go back to, let's say, 2000 and when did IDX come around? 2000.
That was 2010.
Yeah.
No,
it was earlier than that. Yeah, it was like 4.
Yeah,
three, 4. So, back in the day, back in the dark ages in real estate, homes weren't listed on the internet, right? You know, and then they became syndicated, and that changed the real estate agent's value proposition, right? Because at one time we were the keeper of all the data. And if somebody wanted to buy a house or look at homes, they had to call us and we had to tell them what was available, because there was no such thing as this thing called the internet, right?
Right.
Well, I think of this the same way, because this is going to change how we do real estate, right? Let me give you another use case example, is reading a contract. Okay, talk about red flags, danger, right? But it's coming where you have your agreement. You could either use AI to write it or read it once it's done and take data out of that, or at least analytics, or at least what's the right intelligence out of that, right? So how's that going to change the real estate agent's value proposition? And my take is that the person-to-person emotion is still needed, and
Bingo.
that's the value. And that's the part that we as professionals need to focus on, because that's what people need.
It's all those other hats, right? Like one of the things I say all the time is, really everybody says it. Real estate agents wear like 30 hats per transaction. Much
30?
Much less over.
You're
the
talking
course
about
of
an
a year.
easy one.
Yeah, that's an easy one, right? Because you're talking about where marriage counselor, or the critical thinking part of too is sometimes inventive ways to get a deal to go through, right? That's something that real estate agents deal with a lot. And that's something that AI is never going to be able to do. No. And now it can help write.
Never say never.
Well, yeah, I'm going to knock some wood here, but but yeah, that human piece, it is likely not going to be replaced by AI, and that's absolutely what the value proposition is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just be pretty much in the same place where we are now. It's just more advanced and more capable than it is
more
today.
efficient.
More
Process
efficient.
is going to be commoditized. Critical thinking is the value prop.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have some honest truth here. A real estate transaction is a hot mess, right? The way we do real estate right now, it's a mess, right? Between lending and title and everything we do, it's not a very efficient system, and that's just going to get better as time goes on, But again, we just need to. I guess it's the emotional part is probably the biggest piece of it, because it's a very emotional thing, buying and selling a house, right? People freak out.
Real estate's a people business ultimately, and
Yeah.
all of these tools just are distilling down what the realtor's value really is. It comes down to the
Yeah,
relationship.
Could be enhancing,
it is enhancing.
Absolutely.
not just distilling. All right, so real quick, because I asked about where you guys see AI in a year, should people be afraid of AI? The amount of people I've chatted with, and they've been scared or timid or afraid about it because they've seen Terminator, they've seen The Matrix, they've seen all these other things where there's this big brother kind of thing watching over. Is that happening with AI? Can we expect that? Should we expect that? Or is that a fairy tale? Or do we not know because it's the future?
We don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
That's my take.
I do go back to the Luddites, right? I mean, it's just another iteration of technology. Now, is one day AI going to become sentient and start, I don't know, revolting or something? No clue. But
There's nothing you can do about that now.
Right. It's too late at this point.
Yeah.
Like one interesting study I saw was OpenAI came out and they developed this over all these years, put billions of dollars into it, put a lot of guardrails in it. Right? There's a lot of places that it won't let you go to. One university, I want to say it was Stanford, but don't quote me on that. Built their own model, used ChatGPT to train their model with no guardrails, and they did it for like $500. And then they realized how immoral that system they built was, and shut it down and deleted everything before it got out in the world. But that's the kind of stuff that, like Pete is saying, it's too late. If that's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
So the
but
people
that's
out
a big
there who
if.
are concerned about it, no. It's too late. So I mean, you
So-
know, it's the train's already left the station. You know, you can't stop it now. You can only just
Jump on.
embrace it, right?
Right.
Jump on, embrace it, or else, as everyone has already previously stated, you're going to get left behind.
Right.
Not by the platform itself, but by someone else who is utilizing it to enhance their business more.
Exactly. I mean, that's a little fear-mongery. It's a little fear-mongery.
Yeah, no, I
But
gotta have
but
hooks in the
it's more like
podcast.
I like Tico's example of IDX though, right? Like when IDX was first happening, it was like the world was ending, right? It's you know, because the IDX talks about what it kind of works around the code of ethics rule about not advertising on people's stuff. It's kind of a little caveat within there, and that was real estate's bread and butter. And now you fast forward to 2023, and there's discussions happening about, well, I don't know, do we really still need that? Because there's about 50% of real estate agents and sellers who don't care, and there's about 50% of people who really do care. Now, of course, that teeters more on seller privacy than on real estate agent preference, but still, it's the last God knows how many years has been a ride. But it's been a ride that I think has improved things when you look back at it. If you talk about improving consumer transparency, improving fair housing, things like that.
I think there's enough conversations like this happening that there's enough guardrails being put in place, and
Right.
there's enough good uses being done rather than negative.
Yeah, you want to talk about a whole other hour podcast, copyright.
I deliberately did so many times. I wanted to bring up no.
Yeah, OpenAI is already dealing with that. They've got
Yep.
a lot of lawsuits on their hands.
Oh, yeah.
I would say, be aware of it. Keep up with it. Just know that it's there. That the way we do things is always going to change. It's always going to change, and just being aware of it and embracing it if it makes sense. And again, it's really easy to spend a whole lot of time working on something that you think is going to be the game changer for your business that does absolutely nothing. So pick and choose wisely, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just know that there's a lot of stuff that's going on with AI. Not all of it's going to stick. Not all of it's going to continue working.
Oh,
Not-
yeah, no.
Not necessarily on the models themselves, but having like Opus Clip. You slice it up and do that. Enough people do that. If it doesn't iterate further, it's not going to have the impact as it once did.
Right.
And so some of the stuff that you're watching, some of the stuff that you're seeing people do with it, if you don't jump on it now, it may not be as effective when you do eventually adopt it into what you're doing.
Yep.
That's good.
But guess what? You still got to get your face on video.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got over that a while ago. But you got to do it. You got to do it.
Or you can take a couple pictures of your face and upload it into an AI that'll create a 3D model
Yeah,
of
that's
you.
true. There is that. And we didn't even talk about 11 Labs, did we?
I wasn't going to.
Okay, we're not going to talk about 11 Labs. That's voice
Yeah.
generation.
You can,
Yeah.
with that 11 Labs, you can pretty much clone your voice or anyone else's voice. I mean, it's deepfake technology stuff, but then you could get a prompt from ChatGPT, 5 things to do before you sell your property, plug it into 11 Labs, make you say it, plug it into a video generating software program, and it makes a reel using stock video or stock images. And
Yeah, there's a lot of
totally
stuff you can do.
copyright
I mean,
free.
you could even go on the easy side and use Descript, which you record a video, it transcribes it, and then you can edit the video with text. And you can even put in stuff that you didn't say or fix whatever you said.
But
So there's a
again,
lot of stuff that you can do. A lot of different systems.
We
a
could
lot
sit
of
here
paid,
and
a lot of
nerd out
free.
all day, couldn't
Oh,
we?
absolutely.
I don't endorse this.
Yeah.
Just got to keep throwing that out there every now and then.
It's I reel it back to the practical. Look at what you do every day. I say this to the MLS all the time for people. Something as simple as putting the little star next to your thing in your menu drop down that puts it up at the top where you don't have to click on menu. You can just click directly to quick search instead. Those little things, like instead of looking at big, okay, I'm going to save hours of time on video, save yourself 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes times 365 days is hours.
Use it
that
as a
you've given
starting
yourself
point.
back.
Create some ideas to do. What do I post on social media today? Give me 10 ideas for social media.
Right.
That's as far as you have to go with it, and then you can go do everything else the old way.
10
But-
ways to market an open house.
Exactly, and just use it as an idea generation to start with.
Right, a support.
Right.
not a crutch.
Exactly.
Right. All right. Should we have anything else that we should go over? Any other topics?
think we're
Because I
good.
mean, this is a slippery slope, guys.
I know. I
It
think we're
is.
good.
I know. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to our July 2023 podcast. Thank you. Special thanks to our guest stars, Tego Venturi and Richard Gibbons.
Thank you.
Pete Stagel and myself with YPN. Thank you all very much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next month.